Then, after the discussion, which is on the record being done by Ms. Rivera, our court reporter, then we're going to actually cover some papers that repeat maybe two or three times the different rights that are involved. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
All right. Excuse me. Let's start off with the right to remain silent. In each case, individually, you have the right to remain silent. That means you don't have to say anything. You don't have to answer questions. You don't have to submit paperwork that you've signed, especially papers that admit or confess to wrongdoing. Do you understand? You have the right to remain silent.
Yes, sir.
Excuse me. In each case, you have the right to a jury trial. That'd be from a pool of people randomly selected. You and your attorney and the state's attorneys could select six people in each case, not just for two of them, but the different cases, to hear the evidence and decide whether they find you guilty or not guilty. Do you understand? You have the right to a jury trial.
Yes, sir.
You also have the right to what's called confront the witnesses. That is, in either case, if there's witnesses, you and your attorney have the right to ask questions, cross-examine, or challenge them. Do you understand? You have the right to confront witnesses in each case.
Yes, sir.
You also have the right, it's called the right of appeal. That means that you have the right, you by yourself, your attorney by himself, or the two of you together. In each case, you have the right to demand that a higher court hears the evidence in this matter and, or rather, reviews the evidence in the official record on each case and the results of what happened, everything, and for whatever challenges you wanted to make on each case. That's called the right of appeal. Then you also have a right to have this matter heard in public, in the public courtroom. I will tell you that this is being broadcast on video conference on YouTube, so it is public, but you and the state, that's both of you and the state in each case have the right to demand that this matter be heard in the open public courtroom. Because of the pandemic, we're not doing that. We're doing it by video conference, but in order to do that, you have to agree and consent to do it by video conference. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Now, all those rights that I mentioned to you, if you enter a plea on any one case or all of the cases, the both of them, you give up those rights. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Now, I'm going to show you some papers, and they apply to each case. The ones you're being shown on at this time are 574199. Case number 622645 will have the same documents, except in the distinction that we'll make for you after a while. Now, each one, the paperwork, the documents that are being shown at the top of each document, at the beginning and the top, it'll show what I call identifying information. It'll be identified as cause number 574199, the state of Texas versus Ezequiel Alexander Delgado in County Court of Law number 5, Bexar County, Texas. Now, on the other case, it'll have the case number 622645. This one, we discussed it a while ago. This is the state's consent to video conference. This one is signed by Mr. Jeffries, Randy Jeffries, on behalf of the state of the district attorney, agreeing to the video conference. Do you see that?
Yes, sir.
All right, in 574199 and 622645, you will see what's called a discovery acknowledgement. It starts off with the identifying information. It's repeated because it's a separate document. This one talks about a law. The name of it is Article 39.14 of the Code of Criminal Procedure. This law requires the state, the DA, to provide to you and your attorney the information, documents, receipts, videos, whatever exists, so that you can make an informed and intelligent decision. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
All right. This one is signed by your attorney and the prosecutor, Mr. Jeffries, in this case, 574-199, and there's a duplicate in 622-645. Now, the next document that you're being shown is your video conference approval. You see how it says defendant's consent to video conference?
Yes, sir.
All right. It's got your name and it repeats the agreement to do it by video conference instead of in the open courtroom. This is signed by your attorney. You will have to sign it if you haven't already. Mr. Barrera, this does not show his signature. Is he going to sign it or has he already signed one?
He's already signed it, Judge.
Okay, very good. The next document, again, this is 574-199, but there is a duplicate in 622-645 on the second case. Again, identifying information. Then this one is called the defendant's waiver of constitutional rights and court's admonitions. It starts off with 3 separate sentences that are divided. This one says that the first sentence tells me that you don't need me to read the official paper that accuses you of the DWI that you were charged with in 574-199. And it says that you understand that you're being charged with driving while intoxicated and obstruction of a highway. Then there's a statement, a declaration here. The third sentence is that you're entering a plea of guilty to the charge of obstruction of a highway. Now, I'll be covering a little bit of the 622-645 because it's got a little bit of a distinction that we're going to make sure is on the record. Now, the rest of the document is divided into 15 numbered sections or divisions. Number 1 talks about the punishment that you can receive for this particular offense, the DWI obstruction. Is a Class B. The fine is from $0 to $2,000 and jail from 0 days to 180 days. Do you see that, Mr.
Yes, sir.
Delgado? All right. What does number 2 say, Mr. Delgado?
Hold on, let me get it. It says, I am mentally competent and now legally
No, you're
safe.
looking at 3.
I'm sorry.
You're looking at 3.
just-
I'm talking about number 2.
Sorry, I understand I have the right to a jury trial, a right to cross examination, a witness, and a right of the right to remain silent. Give up
All right.
those rights.
You freely and voluntarily do that. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, number 3, I'm just going to briefly ask you, have you ever had any mental health problems?
No, sir.
Have you ever been given or taken mental health medication?
No, sir.
All right. Number 4 is basically says that you're pleading nolo contendere because you reviewed the evidence, your rights, and you've talked to your attorney and you think it's the best thing for you to do. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Number 5, have you ever been involved in the sex offender program? Mr. Delgado. Did we lose
We
him?
lost him, Judge.
Okay. Yvonne, you want to call him and see what's going on? See if we lost him or just got a
Yes,
computer
Judge.
glitch?
He's logging on now, Judge.
Hold on, Yvonne. Okay.
Sorry about
Mr.
that.
Delgado,
I tried to ignore the call and they clicked off right as soon as I hit that.
not to worry. We were on looking at number 5. Have you ever been involved with a sex offender program?
No, sir.
Okay, good. Number 6 talks about the fact that you're making a plea bargain but it's always up to me as a judge. I have to decide whether I accept the bargain or not. That's part of my job, part of my responsibility.
Yes, sir.
If I reject your deal, I say, no, I ain't taking this deal or any part of it, or if I give you a punishment that's heavier, greater than what you agreed to, then the law would allow you to start all over again on each case. If that happens, and nothing that you've said or signed up till now would be used against you. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, where were you born, Mr. Delgado?
Austin, Texas.
Very good. Then you are a U.S. citizen, and I'll show note on each of the files. Number 15. Did you review all of these 15 different paragraphs and stuff with your attorney?
Yes, sir.
You understood number 15 says that you could have me get a risk and needs assessment for you,
Yes, sir.
and you're giving it up. Is that right?
Correct, sir.
On each case.
Correct, sir.
All right. Now, the next document that you'll see is a certification from me. You'll see that there's a bunch of little boxes stacked up vertically, and next to each one, it says something about the right of appeal. The fifth box, which is being shown to you at the top of this page here, it says that this is what I am saying as the judge. This is a plea bargain case, and the defendant has no right of appeal. And that's on each case. Is that understood?
Yes, sir.
All right. The next document is, I think, an application for probation. In this case, it's deferred adjudication. And that's only in 574199. Now, let's make sure one thing. Deferred adjudication is very important because you will be placed on community supervision, deferred adjudication. And if you live up to 100%, and listen to what I said, if you live up to 100% of the conditions of supervision, then this particular case of obstruction will be dismissed and you're not convicted of it. Is that understood?
Yes, sir.
So with that, what happens if you screw up, if you fail to do it or refuse to do it, any part of it, then the state can ask me to give you official notice of a hearing, bring you in, and if the evidence supports it sufficiently, then I can enter a finding of guilt and convict you of the charge. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
If that happens, then you're looking at fine $0 to $2,000, in jail 0 days to 180 days. We got it?
Yes, sir.
All right, that's in 574199. Now, did you fill out this personal data sheet?
Yes, sir.
All right, put your references in, everything?
On both of them.
Who are you working for?
Myself.
And what kind of money are you making?
Last year, so I have a interior painting business for myself. Last year I finally did taxes. I did about 78,000.
So that's over 6,000 a month.
Roughly.
Well, mathematically, it's 6.5. So,
Oh, well, no, because I include my paint because I cleared 185,000 for the year, but for me taking home. So
okay. So you're taking home over 6,000 a month. So
correct.
all right. Children, how many you got?
One, sir.
How old?
7, January 23rd.
All right. Let me remind you of something that's not on these pages.
Yes, sir.
The kind of life your little guy, there's a girl or guy?
Daughter, sir.
The kind of life your little daughter's going to have depends upon the love and caring you give that baby.
Mhm.
And part of that is the example you give her, good or bad. You want to see her grow up to be a heavy drinking, crazy woman?
No, sir.
Well, don't give her the example of being a drinker, a heavy drinker especially, because you got 2 DWIs. Worst
Yes,
thing
sir.
can happen to you is you're out there drinking and driving and you kill your own child because you're drinking and driving. And you believe that it can happen, right?
Yes, it can.
It can happen. Don't let it. All right. What kind of vehicle you got?
Impala 2008 Chevy,
What color?
white.
All right. Sounds like a good car. Does your wife work outside the house?
I'm not married, sir.
So who takes care of the baby?
Well, we're co-parenting.
Okay. All right. Then we come to the plea agreement. By the way, when you applied for deferred, that application, did you know and understand what you're telling me under oath when you signed it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The plea agreement in 574199, there'll be a check mark on the first two boxes. The top one talks again about, guess what? The right to remain silent. Number two check is defendant. You are a U.S. citizen. Check mark. Then you have defendant's acknowledgements. There's 5 boxes there. They talk about the 5 things we talked about, you and I, and this is in writing. Did you review these and understand them?
Yes, sir.
All right, in both cases.
Yes, sir.
All right. The DWI in this case, state has a motion. Mr. Edelman,
State moves to waive and abandon count 1 of the information and proceed on count 2 obstruction only for cause number 574199.
any
No objection,
objection?
Your Honor.
There being no objection, I will check on there, the motion granted. So you are now officially charged with obstruction of a highway, not DWI.
Yes, sir.
Scroll, let's see, okay. So to the charge in case number 574199 of obstruction of a highway, how do you plead, sir?
Guilty.
All right. Are you pleading guilty because you believe you are guilty, or
Because I believe I'm guilty. No other reason.
did anyone threaten you, intimidate you, or promise you anything other than the plea bargain in exchange for your plea?
Negative, sir.
The court finds that there's sufficient evidence, that has to be changed up there, folks. The court finds that there's sufficient evidence to find you guilty, but I do not find you guilty. Instead, there's this document is screwed up, guys. This one says probation. We have to change this document because he's being granted deferred adjudication. Is that going to be 1 year, Mr. Edelman?
It should be deferred, sir, for 1 year.
All right. This document has to be changed, Patricia. It has to show, this one has to be, maybe the numbers have been exchanged or messed up, but we'll have to look at that.
Mia, are you able to hear us?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Can you
Got it.
make note of that?
Yes.
Okay. This document of 574199, it has to indicate that its deferred adjudication is granted. I don't know the length of time, Mr. Edelman.
1 year, sir.
1 year deferred adjudication, period. And it's not probated, it's 1 year deferred adjudication. You're fined $400. It says probate 250. I'm probating 0. That means I'm increasing this sentence on this particular case. You will perform 60 hours of community service restitution. So Mia, I need you to change that to 0 or leave it, scratch out the 250 completely. That gets scratched out. This document has to be changed so that it's no doubt that it's a deferred adjudication.
Got it.
You will submit to a DWI intervention program, DWI victim impact panel, a TAP evaluation and recommendations, 6 months of ignition interlock monitoring device on your vehicle. During the entire deferred adjudication of 12 months, you are not to drink alcohol at all. Is that understood?
Yes, sir.
All right. Your supervisory fee will be $56 a month. Questions, Mr. Barrera?
No, Your Honor. Only thing I wanted to address to the court is my client would ask the court if he can make a donation in lieu of completing the community service hours.
All right, on community service hours, Mr. Delgado, you can donate at the rate of $13 an hour to, my preference is the Gabriel Project. However, I will give you a choice. You can also, you can in the alternative, donate to the San Antonio Food Bank. But you heard my preference,
Yes, sir.
instead of the community service hours. Now,
Thank you.
that concludes 574-199. Questions, did Mr. Delgado I'm sorry, Mr. Barrera, on anything on 574-199? We have to correct the papers which are pointed out. I would also point out, before I finish with this, Mr. Delgado, because I did not allow the probation of your fine, by law, I have given you a heavier sentence than you started off with, the
Yes, sir.
deal you made. And you have the right to start all over again if you choose to on this particular case. Do you want to start all over again, or you want to accept my slightly greater punishment?
And the only change was the charge, correct, from 250 to 400.
I'm sorry?
The only change was you changed the feed from 250 to 400, correct?
No, show me the fine part, Patty.
This is for the other case, Judge. I need to go back to that one.
Okay. What happened is that you made a deal for a fine of, I think it was 450 or 500.
Mm.
And then there was a deal that 250 of that would be probated, meaning they would be forgiven. And I'm saying, no, I'm not forgiving that. You're gonna
Oh, no,
pay
I
the whole-
understand. That's fine,
Okay.
sir. I was just clarifying. Sorry.
You accept that?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now we're gonna go back to 622-645 just to make sure we have all the papers correct.
Yes,
All
sir.
the rights that we talked about, they're the same rights you have. Now, 622-645, you were charged with DWI misdemeanor B, Mr. Edelman.
Yes, sir.
All right. That's staying that way. It is not being lowered. There's 622-645. The two first boxes are being checked. The other defendant's acknowledgements, that same thing. The state is proceeding with DWI misdemeanor B. Scroll. Your plea to 622-645 DWI first misdemeanor B. How do you plead, sir?
Guilty, sir.
I think in this particular case, the papers would show that you're pleading nolo contendere, no contest.
Oh, no contest. I'm sorry.
There's a
There's
little
the
bit of
second one.
there's a little bit of a distinction that can be important. So you understand that as far as this court is concerned, that is considered a guilty plea though, right?
Correct.
All right, now this one is you're sentenced to 1 year, Bexar County Jail, probated for 1 year. You will have the $400 fine here, and again, the 250 I am removing. If you pay 400, it's 400, but is this gonna be concurrent, guys, or is he gonna pay this separately?
These should run concurrent, sir.
All right, this fine will run concurrent with the other case, and likewise, the 250 Mia will be removed from the papers. 60 hours of community service, again running concurrent. You will, concurrent with the other case, you'll enroll in and complete the DWI intervention program, DWI Victim Impact Panel Live. A TAP evaluation and recommendations. You'll have 6 months of ignition interlock to run concurrent with the other case. And the supervisory fee, just like in the other case, the same amount. And concurrently, I'm authorizing the $13 an hour that runs concurrent. So You're
Thank you.
paying once for everything. I do want to point out that the first document, there was one where it talks about the DWI, and then it's the plea. You tell me that you know what the charge is, and included deferred. Now 622-645 does not. I want to look at that paper, Patty, make sure that it's not a error in that paper. You know which one I'm talking about?
The pay agreement?
No, the document where it says the first three sentences, you don't need to read the papers. I know what I'm charged with. And
I know, Judge, but which form?
622-645.
The plea agreement, Judge, form?
No, I think it's before that. The one that has that starts off, it's got the 15 paragraphs or divisions.
For 622-645?
That's right.
The defendant's waiver and of constitutional rights and court's admonitions?
That's the one. Yes, ma'am. On 622-645. All right. Very good. You notice that the three different sentences, the second one says, I am charged with the following offense, DWI, and I'm pleading nolo contendere to driving while intoxicated. You see what I'm talking about, Mr. Delgado?
Yes, sir.
The other one was DWI and obstruction. And then you pled on obstruction. All right. We're all on the same page now. This is all correct. May I be sure that you take care of 574-199, where it's the page that has a deferred adjudication. Okay, no. Questions, Mr. Delgado?
No, sir.
Be aware that on probation, you'll be supervised. You need to live up to everything. If you screw up, they're going to ask me to bring you in and have a hearing. And if the evidence supports it, we can send you to jail. You can still go to jail on this. You understand that?
Yes, sir. Actually, I do have one question.
I'm listening.
For my painting business, what is the limit I'm allowed to travel? And giving warning or heads up.
For right now, you must live in Bexar County and you don't
Yes, sir.
travel anywhere. If you're going to be traveling,
Mhm.
do you travel on a regular basis?
Yes, sir. Mainly just El Paso and Austin. I'm
Okay.
holding back on Houston and Dallas.
All right, then, Ms. Luna or Patricia, I don't know which one of you. will
Ms.
need to-
Luna?
Will need to include in his supervision that Mr. Delgado is authorized to travel for business purposes.
Judge, you can order that in the conditions right now.
Well, let's do it
We're
right
in the
now
hearing.
then. Mia,
Okay.
you'll have to include in the papers that Mr. Delgado is authorized to travel for purposes that's authorized to travel for business purposes. How often do you travel, Mr. Delgado?
Once out of every 6 weeks, roughly.
All right. Understand one thing. This authorization will require that every time you come back from your travel, you go and take a drug alcohol test. You understand? Because I
Yes,
don't
sir.
want you traveling and drinking while you're traveling.
Yes, sir.
All right. That'll be the condition of allowing you to travel. Okie doke. And that'll be on both cases, folks. Anything else, Mr. Delgado?
No, sir.
Work with probation, they'll work with you. And we
Yes,
can
sir.
try and help you. We'll be glad
Yes,
to
sir.
help you. So don't mess it up and cause trouble for yourself and for your family. Questions, Mr. Barrera,
No, Your Honor, that's it for me.
Mr. Edelman.
And further from the state.
Very good. Then I think that concludes this particular